Recorded Books and RB Digital present Happy to Be Here, Selected Facebook Posts by Elizabeth Berg, narrated by the author.
Changes. I remember being a young girl, lying in the bathtub and seeing that my knees were not my knees, or so it seemed. They had changed somehow, when I wasn't looking, had become what I thought of as horsier, whatever that meant. But then those were the days I thought breasts were called hoo-hoos. My mother corrected me one night, coincidentally while I was in the bathtub, and she was kneeling beside me to help me wash up. "They are called breasts," she said, and I said, "Really?" I wasn't quite sure she was right, but in the end decided I had to take it on her authority. Yesterday, I went to a yoga class. I hadn't been to one in a long time, and I've always enjoyed the benefits of a good yoga class, provided I can at least attempt some of the poses. The instructor began with a guided meditation. Who doesn't like a good guided meditation? Well, me, apparently, because suddenly I didn't like the meditation, and I didn't want to go along with it. My scofferator was turned up to high. I wouldn't let in her suggestions. I wouldn't even close my eyes. Instead, I looked around at all the other people with their eyes closed, a look of peace upon their faces, and I thought, should I make eggplant parmesan for dinner or salmon? About 10 or 15 minutes later, the first pose was demonstrated, and I did it for a while, but then I just quietly rolled up my mat, gathered up my belongings, and crept out of the room. I was enormously relieved. I felt like I'd just escaped from something. Next, I marched into the business office of the gym and announced that I wanted to cancel my membership. The guy I spoke to had cottage cheese, blueberries, and strawberries on his desk. I thought, see what a healthy snack he's having? This is a good place. It promotes healthy habits. But I quit. When the guy asked why I was canceling my membership, I said, I just don't get here. Every month I pay my fee, but I never get here. I came the other day after a long absence, and you know what I did? I got a massage. That was my exercise, a massage. We had a little laugh about that. Then the guy told me I could still come for massage as a non-member, and that I could use the gym for free on those days. Now there's some incentive, I thought, but kind of expensive incentive. When I got to my car, I sat there for a moment thinking, how odd that I just did that. When I walked in, I had no intention of quitting the class or the gym, yet I felt I'd done the right thing. When I was in my 20s, I all of a sudden up and left a job as an editorial secretary. I walked home, and I remember going across a bridge, looking up at the birds flying free, and feeling absolutely exhilarated. I had no prospects for another job. My then boyfriend told me I was nuts to leave that job. It was a good job. Not really, but never mind. But something in me told me to get up and go that day, and I got up and went. And I never, ever, ever regretted it, not even when I was left with $1 to my name. I used that dollar to buy a rose that I left on a rock as an offering in my favorite little park. It may be that I've come to a time in my life where I'm being more discerning about what I put on my plate. I don't have room for everything I used to do, plus the new things I've added. It has come time to eliminate some things that don't spark joy, it occurs to me to say. And it appears that since I didn't consciously acknowledge that, my subconscious cleared its throat and said, "Elizabeth, they are
Sample complete. Ready to continue?